Okay, so I have my water in my water brush, and I'm going to grab my white oil pastel, and I have the paper kind of bumpy side up, and I'm going to go ahead and draw really dark with my white oil pastel. And it'll be hard to see because it's white on white here, but you're drawing whatever you want really. For this one, I'm just doing straight lines, kind of geometric design. But you want to make sure that you're really applying a lot of pressure. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and just start to paint on top. And the cool thing about this is since it's oil pastels, it'll push away the paint and it makes a really nice little like barrier for you. So if you're trying to keep your paint, you know, in these little areas, that white oil pastel is kind of like a little barrier. So I'll show you here I'm going to switch to yellow, and I'm going to paint over, like right over the white lines. And so you can see what happens if you have a nice watery paint and paint over, you can see that the white is going to kind of push it away. That's called a watercolor resist, because the oil pastel is resisting the water. It's pushing it away. And then you can play around with filling in all of your different squares, or then dropping in some other colors on top so that they start to mix, and kind of just experiment with it. So you can see that white oil pastel pushed away all of the paint, and I was able to keep it in these cool little geometric tiles that I drew out for myself. All right, for this one I took my color swatches that I made last time, and I just drew 2 bold white oil pastel lines down the center, and then I just kind of played around with it. So the fun thing with oil pastels is they can draw really nicely on top of a dry painting, and then you can start to layer up some colors and play around with that watercolor resist. Just a note that the paper that you have in your kit, one side is kind of bumpy and one side is smooth. You can see there's a smooth side, there's a bumpy side, and the watercolor resist works better on the bumpy side. I tried it on the smooth side, and that's like the first painting there, and then I tried it on the bumpy side, and that's the second painting you can see there. So just one fun idea that you can do is you can make like a snowy landscape. So take your white oil pastel and just layer on a really nice thick layer of white on the bottom for the ground, and then you can just draw some little dots along the top for the snow. So I'm going to go ahead and get some blue paint and then start to paint it in on my background. And for the most part, the oil pastel will push away your paint. You might not have success if you get your paint like really thick. You kind of want it to be more watery, and make sure your oil pastel is really thick, and that'll push it away. So you want to make sure your paint is really watery, that you put your oil pastel on really thick, and with this particular paper, using the bumpy side of the paper can also make a difference. just one more note here. This is a time-lapse painting on a heavier watercolor paper. I think that this paper is like 140-pound paper, and that just means it's pretty thick. If it's in a ream, it will be like a big pile of paper. The pile of paper would be 140 pounds. So you can see how it handles, like it really sits on top of the paper really well, and it kind of bleeds really well. But you can also watercolor on thinner paper. So this next one here is on just regular printer paper, and it'll handle differently, but you can still make some beautiful paintings with it. So even if you don't have like the super expensive thick paper, don't let it stop you. You can still have a lot of fun and experiment with a thinner paper.